So in today's video, I'm going to be looking at a particular example of a situation that a lot of people get into with their credit. And then I'm going to talk about what they can do to improve their score from the situation. So my example today is going to be a guy called Alex. And just to give you a little bit of background into Alex's credit history, he's recently started looking at applying for a mortgage and has learned that he needs to have a good credit score to do this. So he downloaded the Experian app and found out that his credit score was actually only 580, which puts him in the poor band. So there are several things that can impact a credit score. So I'll look at them individually. So Alex, first of all, we're going to look at the number of credit cards that he has. So Alex has 2 credit cards, and one with a limit of £4,500 and one with a limit of £3,500. And then the first card with a limit of £4,500 has a balance of £3,800. And the second card has a balance of £700. So next we're going to look at any kind of loans or CCJs that he might have. So looking at Alex's file, he has no CCJs, he has no defaults, but he does have a late payment from about 3 years ago, which he did pay off about 2 months after getting it. And he has not made any credit applications in the last 6 months. Now we're going to look at whether his name is on his mobile contract and whether his name is on his energy bills. And so Alex's name, he does have a mobile contract in his name, but he doesn't have his name on the energy bills currently. So let's take a look at what could be bringing his score down. So if we look back at the credit cards, he has a pretty high credit limit and only 2 cards, which is pretty good. But the issue here, though, is that the balance on the cards is just way too high. To make sure the amount you spend doesn't negatively impact your credit score, you should really aim to keep your spending below 30% of the limit on the card at all times. And so if we're looking at Alex's numbers, he's actually spending 84% of the limit on the first card. So obviously that's way too high, and he's signaling to lenders that he might be a bit more of a risk because he just looks like he consumes so much of the credit that he gets. The £3,500 card is actually fine as long as he keeps on top of it because he's only using 20% of that currently. Next, we'll look at the loans and CCJs. So the late payment will probably stay on his file for a while still, but as he paid it off pretty quickly, and it was more than 2 years ago that he got it, specifically mortgage lenders only really look at the past 2 years, so they'll probably overlook this. And then looking at the mobile contract and energy bills, these are both really easy ways, if you can get them in your name, to build your credit score and have no real negatives from it. So he's got a mobile contract, but no energy bills under his name, which will be bringing down his score. So what can Alex do to increase his chances of getting accepted for a mortgage? So his number one priority should be clearing the balance on the card that has a limit of £4,500 and a balance of £3,800. He needs to get this down below 30%, absolute minimum. And when it gets to below 30%, he should see a huge increase in his score. Then he should aim to maintain a low spending amount on both cards. Just make small purchases that he pays off in full each month. He shouldn't, and then number 2, shouldn't take out any more credit or make any more credit applications until he's ready to apply for his mortgage, because he already has a decent amount of credit cards, and so any more credit that he could take out, like a loan, for example, will just decrease his score. And finally, he should definitely get his name added to energy bills because, as I was saying, this is just a really easy, safe way specifically to build credit because it doesn't raise any doubts with lenders. And so because everyone needs electricity, right? And then once he's in this position, his credit file will look a lot better. And energy. And he'll be ready to apply for a mortgage. Please note that this is not financial advice and you shouldn't rely on it to make any financial decision.